Hello and welcome to Creative Marketing TV. My name is Susan Joy Schlief and I am your host for today, as always. Today I have an interview guest. Carlo Savio is here to talk about website secrets and tips, and especially his interest is mentoring baby boomers on how to start an online business and how to tackle the technical side of getting their website up. So welcome, Carlos.
Good morning. Good morning, Susan. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Glad to have you here. So this show is mainly focused for entrepreneurs, small business owners, and professionals, and we share creative marketing tips with you, either in interviews or in demos. And today, as I said, we have an interview. So Carlos, to get started, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about how you got involved in the website business and in all things technical and Google?
Okay.
Give us a little bit of your background.
I've been using computers since 1979. I'm a small business management and financial consultant. And during those years, I became more and more digitally fluent. I became an internet service provider in 1992, and I've been accessing the internet almost daily since 1992. I am proficient in, I'm self-taught, homeschooled, proficient in several modern online programming languages. Okay.
Okay. And why focus particularly on baby boomers?
Well, being a baby boomer myself.
Yes, me too.
Okay. Yes. That I call it digital marketing for the rest of us. Since I'm in this business, there are more people selling me stuff, trying to sell me stuff, than I care to buy. Mm-hmm. So, and most of those are millennials, and they just seem to want to focus in that. And I believe that there are quite a large number of baby boomers who would like maybe to have an online presence. But what people are screaming at them, blogging at them, gets a little bit intimidating. Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to discuss is that there are many technologies out there that the technology goes to the background. And just like your Facebook page, it's like accessing a word processor. So that's really my focus.
Yeah, to make it easy for people so they don't have to worry about the tech side, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm the guy, perhaps, that maybe that their grandson wasn't available to show them how to do it.
Yeah. Or like in my dad's case, his grandsons are too young. But, okay. Well, no, actually, it's because they're his great-grandsons. That's why we had all girls in the family before that. So, okay. So mostly I end up helping my dad with his iPad, which sure. I don't know that much about. And of course, he's beyond baby boomer age. But
sure. I remember to that point, I remember one time, as an ISP, I would get these nervous phone calls from people. Hey, I can't get into the internet. I can't get to the internet. Then the next message would be, don't worry about it. My kid came home from school. He got me logged in.
Yeah. I'll just tell you one quick story about that, and then we'll get back to the business at hand for today. But years ago, I was working as a IT support for an accounting firm. And one of the things I had to do was the owner of the firm took me over with his driver, in his limo, took me over to his apartment on the Gold Coast of Chicago to help his wife with her email. So I thought, okay, this is company business somehow, but it was his firm, so he could do what he wanted, right?
Golden rule. People with the gold get the rule.
That's right. Yeah. So let's get started talking about what you have to share about websites and starting a business. So what's the most important thing somebody should consider if they are wanting to start an online business?
Well, I guess the most is without a clearly defined goal, your only motivation would be survival. So you would have to define what is it that you'd like to do. For example, is there a certain topic that interests you that you'd like to write about it and share with others? Is there something that you produce by hand, a craft that you sell locally and would like to sell it to other people, but just don't know how to jump into that?
Okay.
And then lastly is there's a famous expression I'm sure we all know, that everybody has a novel in them. And with the internet, going back to 1982, everybody's a publisher.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing I think maybe I would add to that is if people have something that they can teach or share via video or via Hangout, it doesn't have to be even that you write it.
Thank you. Thank you for, it's early in the morning in Las Vegas.
Yes. Well, I know the Hangout technology is a little bit harder to get used to than writing, but certainly something that people could learn, right?
Yeah.
So
The thrust that I wanted to share with your audience is looking for those people who want to do it, intimidated by the technology, and want to start at a basic level. And but by all means, you could jump right into Hangouts. It's just as easy to get accustomed to it once someone walks you through it.
right. So when you do have someone interested, how do you get started with them when you first consult with them?
Okay. What I generally do is I sit down and being my primary thrust is business and finance.
Mm-hmm.
And that technology, I use it myself to support my business, in the sense that decades ago, as an ISP, I used to give away internet connections for free to businesses for an opportunity to get to know, like, trust.
Oh, interesting.
And, help people with that. So what I like to do here in Vegas, although you could do the same on video chat or a phone call, is to get an idea of what the strong points the person has and where they might need some help. And then I would map out if there's a fit between the two of them. If there's a fit between the two of us, I'd map it out as a fast track that they could run on. And I like to do that over a 3-month cycle. And then it could be renewed in 3-month cycles.
Okay. So, and that makes sense to me, that it's not a matter of having an online business. It's a matter of starting a business, right? So
Yes.
You start with what's the goal. And
thank you. If you have a poorly run business, the internet is just going to amplify you have a poorly run business.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I sometimes shake my head at all these people that are like, oh, I want to make money on the internet. It's like,
of course,
well, you need a business to do that. So
it's the joke about, if you build it, they'll come. And so they built it and nobody showed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I know.
So,
that is something that's hard for some people to understand, that that you can't just start any business on the internet. It has to be something that people are looking for and interested in.
Yes. And the other thing is, if I can segue, the difference between, I wanted to talk about the difference between what I call hedged, walled gardens versus a standalone website. The platforms like Facebook are designed for one reason, and they're the great-grandchild of America Online. Whereas you walk into their hedge-walled maze, and while you're interacting with your friends, they're streaming advertisements next to you. So the only one who has an online business is Facebook.
Right.
And you participate, and you get that warm, fuzzy feeling, hey, but Facebook is designed for broadcasting. Your website is designed for engaging. And as long as you're broadcasting, as long as you're shouting at people, they're going to figure out how to tune you down. A lot of people don't know that you can turn down the news feed in Facebook. Mm-hmm. And so if you're, I'll define selling something as trying to get people to buy something they don't want or don't need. Okay. All right. Now,
Unfortunately, that's how it's done far too
yes,
often. Yes.
yes. So the idea is that by keeping it simple, in the sense that you use your social media accounts to bring them back to your website, to engage them, and then use, as you so well put together, YouTube, as you're doing here, to make what I call an internet triptych. You know, the triptych with the three images?
Right.
Okay, so some people refer to it as the internet tripod, but you have your mobile responsive website, your social media engagement, not broadcasting, and your YouTube videos. And that's really what would give that. And in that process, you're looking at building your brand. You're building looking to reviews and responses, and you're looking to do conversions. The whole thing about having an online presence is a call to action, as you and I we talked about recently.
Right.
Okay.
So once you've talked somebody through the business foundation, making sure they have a clear idea of what they want to do, then what? Then you help them get started with a website? Is that the next step?
Okay. There's several. Okay, I do it from two perspectives.
Okay.
One is I think almost all baby boomers, unless you're from the manor born, have a fixed income.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to try to create a sensible budget that'll give them some traction on the internet and yet wouldn't take food off their table. For some seniors, getting from the first day of the month to the 30th day of the month is sometimes a bit of a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason you can't have a little fun by having an online business. So once we define that, I could offer it in two ways. It's either a do it for you or do it with you. I like to do it with you because you get the other purpose involved. I'm a long-time martial artist, and we talk about to teach is to learn twice. And so as you're teaching somebody, you're learning how to reteach somebody all the time. So that's where I get the most fun of it. Yeah, I can do it for you. You pay a certain amount of bucks, I do the job, and I come back to you and say, what's next? But I like to do it with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. That there's a lot in it for the teacher as well. I know.
Yeah.
But I could see another advantage of doing it together as well, because like you said, you can start the online business for fun, but it's also a way to keep your mind active and to stay sharp and to keep learning new things and keep engaging with people. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Susan. It's like learning a second language.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you're involved in that, yes, absolutely.
Keep your brain healthy. Yep. In these days when everybody's worried about dementia.
Yes.
So,
well,
yeah.
The good news is if you remember that you forgot something, you're in good shape.
Then you're probably okay. Yes.
Yes.
That's funny. Yeah. All right. So you mentioned something the other day about SEO. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yes, thank you.
And explain what it is, first of all.
Yes, okay. Search engine optimization. Let me give you my take on how search engines are used. Instead of people talking about penguins and pandas and all this stuff that we read about from Google, think about you being in a mall and somebody calls Susan. 3 people turn in the direction of the voice. And then they add your surname, Schlief, if I'm enunciating it correctly. And the other 2 people turn back, but you keep focusing. So with the Google search index, everybody thinks it's this mysterious thing, but it's what is on your website that matches a call inside of their index that brings it up to, oh, they want this Susan. Oh, yes, in Chicago. Here she is. And when people find you on the internet, they think, wow, how lucky I am to find this person. So now, if you have an existing online presence and you're not getting the traction that you think you should be having, since since you're running a business first and you know your own business, then what I would suggest people consider doing is what's called a search engine optimization audit. And you can do a quick Google search on that, and it'll show you how to do it. There are a gazillion people that would love to sell you a search engine optimization audit, or you can do it yourself, or you can do any combination of them. And it's on-site and off-site. That is to say, there are certain things or underpinnings inside your website that could preclude or enhance Google's search index to seeing you. And what I'd like those who may be listening to consider is that when you stop thinking about your website only as a website and think about it as a repository for information to teach Google who you are, you'll do better at search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm. That's
Make
a
sense?
good way to explain it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Teach Google who you are. Yep. And that kind of hooks back into what we were talking about earlier, that you have to think about what are people searching for, right?
Yes.
So if nobody is searching for Susan Schlief, then it's not going to matter how well I do that, because nobody's ever going to find it if they don't type that into their search.
Yes.
Right. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's since that's the example you used. Yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
And then that gets into the whole idea of keyword research too. Do you want to go into that, or is that a little too complicated?
For the, I'd love to do a second session with you at a future date. But again, the thrust today is just the Internet Business Building 101. Okay. But I'll speak to that a little bit. Keywords are simply, again, walking into a store and say, do you have this item in that color and around this price? That's keyword searching.
Mm-hmm.
Because you narrow it down. Most people who are comfortable with a search engine think that they're the best at search engines. So it's so easy to go into Google, for example, and it says, creative marketing near me. Unfortunately, you wouldn't show up in Las Vegas, but there would be a steady stream of creative marketing. However, if I said creative marketing in Chicago, north, east, south, whatever, you would gradually come up. Mm-hmm. So that's what keywords are.
Okay.
Google tries to dissuade you from using keyword from keyword, what they used to call keyword stuffing, mm-hmm. because as you know, they like to sell keywords now.
Right. Well, and it also doesn't make for very interesting reading for people if you've stuffed keywords in where it sounds unnatural. So
yeah, we go back to broadcasting. You can see it. It's like, and with deference to the people who believe in them, one of the things that I find is a quick turnoff for me is squeeze pages, where you go onto a page, you land on a page, and all of a sudden you're going down to this tone, and you try to get away. No, don't leave yet. Wait, operators are standing by. This is the offer now, and it's like, give me a break.
The pop-ups, yeah.
Yeah, very 1990s.
Yeah. Well, and the ones that annoy me the most is if I go to read somebody's blog post and within 2 seconds, their pop-up is covering up the whole page and I can't read it. I'm like, how do I know if I want to subscribe to your page yet? You haven't even let me read anything.
Right. I did a tweet on that several months ago. It's like, can you imagine going into a shop in the mall and the clerk, when the door opens and the ding ding goes, yeah. The bell goes, the yeah. clerk runs up, stops you from getting into the store and says, wait, yeah. sign up for our newsletter?
Yeah.
And it's like, you do an about face and walk away.
Yes.
But they insist upon teaching people. Or I love those emails that says, only 24 hours left. Oh, great. I've got so many other things going on in my life. I don't have to worry about your 24 hours.
Right. Carlo, sorry, added an
okay.
S there. Let's go back for a minute to the keywords, because I was thinking with that example you gave of you go into the store and you say, do you have this in this color and this price? If a smart business owner pays attention to what people are asking for the most, they can then use those things in their advertising, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So isn't that part of the idea with using keywords online as well?
Absolutely. My apologies if I underplayed the significance.
Oh,
If you
no,
take
you didn't at
something
all.
like Google Trends and you see what's trending and you see what people are buying, and yes, uh, just do you remember lead exchange clubs when our hairs were darker or more colorful?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wasn't doing business back
Oh, okay.
then.
A lead exchange club was a club that you were coerced to join, and you must bring leads to the meeting. And you would get what they call a 30-second elevator pitch. And so you got up and you had to, shifting from hip to hip, explain to people that you may or may not know what you did in 30 seconds. There is keywords.
Right,
Okay. How to be memorable.
right. Yeah. And, or if we, for people who maybe aren't familiar with internet business so much, if you compare it to a traditional business, it's what you would put in your Sunday flyers in the newspaper, right? Which products you
Absolutely.
want to emphasize and what words you use to describe them is based
Absolutely. But I also want to caution you that as articulate as you become in keyword positioning, you may find that Google will give a definition about your site that they think is better.
on.
And then you look at it and you say, hey, that's pretty cool. There are times that I cobbled for an hour or two on a certain description, only to find 2 weeks later that Google had reformatted it to the way they liked. And I said, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Google.
That's interesting. I didn't know they would do that.
Yes.
I mean, I can see how it might be an advantage, but I didn't know that they would actually change your description.
Yes.
See, to me, I mean, I know there are things about Google that annoy everybody, and that, yes, like you said, they want you to pay for ads. But if you think about it, their goal really, well, their goal is to sell ads, but
$50 billion worth.
but other than that, the reason they can sell ads is because they have an audience to bring to the ads. And in order to keep that audience using Google search, they need to provide people with what they're looking for, right?
Yes.
If their search doesn't give good results, then people aren't going to keep using it.
Yes.
And so they have a vested interest in your description being accurate based on what people are searching for.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. If there are any Google people out there listening, I am not anti-Google. All of us like to shop. Sometimes we like to buy. We just don't like being sold to.
Right.
So now, this opportunity, when we were pre-internet, was always there. It was the beauty of technology that allowed the brilliant minds that put this Google thing together to make it work. Microsoft had their shot, IBM had their shot, and they all had fantasies of making $1 gazillion doing it, but they were selling to us. And Google is helping us buy. And therein lies the difference.
That's interesting. I never really thought about that difference, because there were other approaches to search before that, and
Yeah,
Yahoo
and they're up against the
AOL.
ropes. Yes. I can remember back in the day when internet was just, when it was turned to the public domain and Microsoft was taking this position. They wanted to be the world's greatest buggy whip maker. In our lives, we have an invention, extension, and invention, devention. That is to say, when they invented the pencil, they put the eraser on top of it. When they invented cars, they de-invented buggy whips. Back in those days, Microsoft did not want to let go of its death grip on desktop appliances.
Mm-hmm.
And it's now having a gigantic computer is no longer necessary. We used to talk about these big tower computers we had with so many disk drives and all this stuff,
Yeah.
where you can take a tablet and have all kinds of data on the cloud. But I digress.
But it depends what you want to do with it, because I still
Yeah.
have one of those big computers right here that I use for video editing. You know,
Sorry.
I wouldn't want to do that on a tablet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that well, not to get too philosophical, but the evolution of the internet is like many other things, that the first people often don't see all the possibilities of it, you know, and it takes other people to build on top of those innovations.
Of course. Of course. Sometimes an idea grows better in another mind than the mind it sprang from.
Right.
If you remember, when you were a girl, there may have been a special table in a certain part of your house where you had this thing called a telephone. And you had to go to that area to make that call.
I think ours was on the wall.
Okay.
Well, maybe when I was much younger, it was on a table, but
right.
Yeah, mostly I remember it on the wall.
And I can remember back in the days, but although they weren't working, some building superintendents had call directors in the apartment houses in New York City, where I grew up in, where like Lily Tomlin's character, they would use, the building superintendent was responsible for connecting calls throughout the building. I mean, and look where we are now. We carry this thing in our pocket.
Right. Right. Well, that's funny. The thing I remember about the phones from back then is that we had one phone. It was wired to the wall, and that if I wanted to take a call and speak privately to a friend, I had to stretch the cord all the way into my bedroom and close the door, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. I remember doing that as a teenage boy, and I can remember my mother being a little bit jealous when I was talking to teenage girls. Yeah. She would toggle the phone, don't let you get like a...
Yeah, to listen.
And the girl would say, "What's wrong with the phone?" I said, "My mother's being impatient."
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's funny how much things have evolved. And the internet also has evolved from the first time I looked at it, I remember.
And when we're long gone, it'll just be in the ether. It'll be hardwired into us. It'll be part of our exoskeleton.
Yeah, who knows? Lots of ways it could go. That's for sure.
Right. As I think you run a half-hour show.
Yes, I was.
Okay, I was going to make an offer if we haven't discussed it already, and that is to say, those baby boomers that are 62 plus. This is the first. This is a joke that a gentleman never asks a lady a question that ends with a number, but for those baby boomers who are 62 plus, I would like to donate my time, and that is up to 3 hours, 3 one-hour sessions on helping them through the basics of creating an online business. And that would be subject to a conversation, telephone, email, and are both schedules. And I'd be glad to help people out to get online. And that's on a complimentary or a free basis.
Well, that's a very generous offer. So I hope people will hear the replay of this and take you up on that. Or if I don't see that we have anybody live this morning. So
it's Easter Saturday, Easter weekend Saturday.
Yes,
so
it is.
Running around getting ready for tomorrow.
And it is early for many people. So
yes. And if you'd be so kind as to put my email website information on your description.
I will do that. I'll put it under the video, just the replay description. The other thing you can do is if you want to post a comment on the Google Plus page.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you.
People can contact you that way as well.
Right.
Since we baby boomers are online already and know how to do those things sometimes. Some of us do. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carlos. Is there maybe one tip you want to share as we wrap up here?
Gosh, I could speak. My mother used to say I could talk a dog off a meat truck. So I don't want to fill up the air bandwidth.
All right.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's been an interesting conversation for me. Hopefully our viewers will find it interesting as well. And thank you for joining us today.
Okay, good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.